The stars shined bright in the vast darkness of space. Admiral Jack Morrison stood on the bridge of the U.S. Liberty, watching the distant lights through the large windows. His small fleet of 50 ships moved slowly through the Orion arm of the galaxy. They were far from home, exploring new systems and looking for resources. "Sir, we have unknown contacts on sensors," Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez reported from her station. Her voice was calm but alert. Jack turned to face the main screen. "How many?" "About 30 ships, sir. They're big, really big." The screen lit up with data. The unknown ships were each 3 times larger than the Liberty. They moved in perfect formation, like predators hunting prey. "Send a greeting message. All languages," Jack ordered. "Let's see if they're friendly." The response came quickly. The main screen filled with the image of a tall, gray-skinned creature with 6 arms and glowing red eyes. Its mouth was full of sharp teeth. "I am High Marshal Vextor of the Zorthak Empire." The alien spoke in perfect English. "You have entered our territory. Surrender now or be destroyed." Jack remained calm. He had dealt with hostile first contacts before. "This is Admiral Morrison of Earth. We mean no harm. We're explorers, not invaders." Vextor's red eyes narrowed. "Earth? We have not heard of this world. Your ships are small and weak. You dare to challenge the might of the Empire." "We don't want to fight," Jack replied. "Let's talk about this." The alien laughed. It was a harsh, grating sound. "The Empire does not talk with inferior species. You have 1 minute to surrender." Jack looked at his crew. They were ready for whatever came next. Humans had faced bullies before, both on Earth and in space. They knew how to handle them. "Battle stations," Jack said quietly. "But don't fire unless they do." The minute passed slowly. When it ended, the Empire ships opened fire. Bright beams of energy shot toward the human fleet. "Evasive maneuvers," Jack commanded. "Return fire." The human ships scattered like leaves in the wind. They were smaller and faster than the Empire vessels. The Liberty dodged between 2 energy beams and fired its rail guns. Metal projectiles traveling at incredible speed slammed into an Empire ship's shields. Captain Luke Patterson commanded the U.S. Independence on Jack's right flank. His ship launched a swarm of missiles that confused the Empire's targeting systems. The missiles exploded in a pattern that created a wall of debris. "Their shields are strong," Amy reported, "but they're slow to adapt." Jack smiled slightly. Humans had learned to fight in space the hard way. They had battled pirates, hostile aliens, and even each other. Every fight taught them something new. The Empire ships tried to surround the human fleet, but the humans kept moving, never staying in one place. They fired from unexpected angles and used the environment to their advantage. One human ship, the U.S. Freedom, flew close to a large asteroid. When an Empire ship followed, Captain Lisa Chen triggered explosive charges they had quickly placed on the rock. The asteroid shattered, sending chunks of stone into the enemy ship's path. High Marshal Vextor watched from his command throne. His 6 arms moved over control panels as he directed the battle. He was confused. These humans fought like veterans, not like the primitive species their ship suggested. "Concentrate fire on their lead ship," Vextor ordered. "They will break when their commander falls." 20 Empire ships targeted the Liberty. Jack saw them turning his way. "All ships, pattern Delta 7, he commanded. The human fleet suddenly formed a sphere around the Liberty. Each ship's weapons pointed outward. When the Empire ships fired, the humans had already moved. Their shots hit empty space. The battle continued for an hour. The Empire lost 3 ships. The humans lost 1. It was not the easy victory Vextor had expected. "Sir," one of Vextor's officers said nervously, "their tactics are unusual. Perhaps we should reconsider." Vextor struck the officer with one of his arms. "The Empire does not reconsider. These humans have gotten lucky. Nothing more." But deep inside, Vextor felt the first touch of doubt. These humans fought too well for a small, unknown species. Something was not right. The battle ended when the humans suddenly retreated. They jumped to hyperspace in perfect coordination, leaving the Empire fleet alone among the stars. Vextor stared at the empty space where they had been. "Find them," he ordered. "The Empire will crush these humans. All of them." He believed he had just fought humanity's entire fleet. He was wrong. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace near a quiet moon. Admiral Jack Morrison called his captains for a meeting on the Liberty. They needed to discuss what had just happened. "That could have gone better," Captain Luke Patterson said as he entered the meeting room. His uniform was wrinkled from the battle. Captain Lisa Chen nodded. "They shot first. No warning, no real attempt to talk. Just demands and threats." "Typical Empire behavior," Captain Amy Rodriguez added. She had seen this before with other aggressive species. "They think might makes right." Jack stood at the head of the table. "We need to report this to Earth Command. General Patterson needs to know we've made contact with a hostile empire." "General Patterson is my uncle," Luke said with a small smile. "He's going to love this report. Another empire thinking they own the galaxy." As Jack prepared the message for Earth, the Empire fleet searched nearby systems. High Marshal Vextor was angry. No one had ever escaped from an Empire fleet before. "Find them," Vextor shouted at his officers. "They cannot hide forever." 3 days later, the Empire found the human fleet. But this time, instead of attacking, they sent a message. "Humans of Earth," Vextor's image appeared on the Liberty screen. "The Empire offers you one final chance. Surrender now, and some of you may live as servants. Refuse, and we will destroy your entire species." Jack looked tired. He had hoped to avoid more fighting. "High Marshal, you're making a mistake. We're not your enemy. We're explorers, scientists, traders. This is just one small fleet from Earth." Vextor's 6 arms waved dismissively. "Lies. We have scanned this entire sector. You have 50 ships. This must be your full military strength." Amy Rodriguez stepped forward. "Sir, may I try to explain?" Jack nodded. Amy faced the screen. "High Marshal, I am Captain Rodriguez, diplomatic officer. What you see here is just our 3rd Fleet's scout division. We have many more ships back home." The Empire officers laughed. Vextor's teeth showed in what might have been a smile. "Poor humans. You think we will believe such obvious lies? We know desperation when we see it." "It's not a lie," Amy continued patiently. "Earth has 10 main fleets. Each fleet has thousands of ships. We're just a small exploration group." "Silence," Vextor commanded. "The Empire has conquered 1,000 worlds. We know when weak species try to bluff. You fought well for primitives, but this ends now." On Earth, General Luke Patterson Sr. received Jack's report. He sat in his office at Space Command Headquarters, reading the details of the first contact. "Another aggressive empire," he muttered. He pressed a button on his desk. "Get me Admiral Clark. Tell her we might need First Fleet ready to move." Back at the standoff, Jack tried one more time. "High Marshal, please listen. We don't want war. But Earth will defend itself if necessary. You're making assumptions based on incomplete information." "The only incomplete information is your surrender," Vextor replied. "We will return with 500 warships. You have 7 of your days to prepare your defeat." The communication ended. Jack's officers looked worried but not scared. "Should we call for backup, sir?" Lieutenant Danny Webb asked. Jack shook his head. "Not yet. Maybe they'll realize their mistake when they scan Earth's defenses. Let's hope cooler heads prevail." Lisa Chen studied her tactical display. "Sir, what if they don't? What if they really attack Earth with 500 ships? Then they'll learn why humans have survived everything the galaxy has thrown at us," Jack replied. "But I still hope it won't come to that." The Empire fleet departed to gather their invasion force. Vextor sat on his command throne, planning humanity's defeat. He thought about the battle, about how 50 human ships had fought so well. If 50 ships gave us such trouble, one officer whispered to another, what happens if they really do have more? Impossible, the other replied. The Marshal says they're bluffing. They must be. But the seed of doubt was planted. Soon, the Empire would learn the truth about humanity's real strength. For now, they prepared for what they thought would be an easy victory. The greatest misunderstanding in galactic history was about to unfold. 7 days passed quickly. The Empire returned with 500 warships, just as Vextor had promised. The massive fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation. Each ship bristled with weapons and shields. Admiral Jack Morrison watched them arrive. His 50 ships looked tiny next to the Empire Armada. All ships, defensive positions, he ordered calmly. High Marshal Vextor appeared on every human screen. Humans, witness the true power of the Zorthak Empire. You have 1 minute to surrender. We've tried to explain, Jack replied. This is not our full force. Please, let's talk instead of fight. Your lies end now, Vextor declared. Attack. 500 Empire ships opened fire at once. The space around the human fleet filled with energy beams and missiles. It looked like certain death. But the humans were ready. Execute scatter protocol, Jack commanded. The 50 human ships split into small groups and scattered in all directions. They moved like fish avoiding a net, using speed and unpredictable patterns. Captain Lisa Chen led her group of 5 ships toward a nearby asteroid field. Follow my lead, she told the other captains. Use the rocks as cover. The Empire ships pursued, firing constantly. But the asteroids absorbed many of their shots. Lisa's group weaved between the floating rocks, firing back when they could. Their formation is too rigid, Lisa observed. They can't navigate the field properly. She was right. The Empire ships tried to maintain their formations while chasing the humans. They bumped into asteroids and each other, causing confusion. Meanwhile, Captain Luke Patterson took his group on a different approach. Time for some gravity games, he announced. His ships flew close to the moon's surface, using its gravity to accelerate. The Empire ships followed, not realizing the trap. Luke's group suddenly changed direction, slingshotting around the moon at incredible speed. The pursuing Empire ships tried to follow but miscalculated. 3 of them crashed into the moon's surface. Others spun out of control, fighting the gravity well. On the Liberty, Jack watched the battle unfold. His cyber warfare team, led by Lieutenant Karen White, worked their computers furiously. Sir, I found vulnerabilities in their communication system, Karen reported. Their encryption is strong, but they're using predictable patterns. Can you disrupt them? Jack asked. Karen smiled. Watch this. Suddenly, several Empire ships began firing at empty space. Others turned in wrong directions. Karen had inserted false target data into their systems. Their coordination is breaking down. Amy Rodriguez observed. They're not used to this kind of warfare. The Empire had expected a straight battle. 2 fleets shooting at each other until one surrendered. But humans fought differently. They used tricks, terrain, and technology in creative ways. Commander Danny Webb led a group of 3 ships in what looked like a suicidal charge. The Empire ships focused their fire on them, confident of an easy kill. But Danny's ships released thousands of small drones. Each drone was tiny but carried reflective panels. The swarm of drones created a cloud of false signals, confusing the Empire's targeting systems. Now, Danny ordered. His ships fired through the drone cloud. The Empire couldn't tell which signals were real ships and which were decoys. Human missiles found their targets, destroying 2 more Empire vessels. High Marshal Vextor watched in disbelief. His grand fleet was being embarrassed by 50 small ships. Impossible, he roared. How can they fight like this? Sir, one of his officers said nervously, their tactics are unlike anything we've seen. Maybe they were telling the truth. Maybe this isn't their main force. Silence. Vector commanded, but doubt crept into his mind. These humans fought with the skill of veterans. Their technology was advanced, their tactics brilliant. The battle raged for hours. The Empire lost 12 ships. The humans lost 2. It was not the overwhelming victory Vector had promised his people. Finally, Jack gave the order. All ships, prepare for strategic withdrawal. We've made our point. The human fleet regrouped and jumped to hyperspace in perfect synchronization. They left behind a confused and battered Empire force. Vector stared at the debris of his destroyed ships. Something was very wrong. These couldn't be all the humans had. Could they? Send a message to Imperial intelligence, he ordered quietly. Tell them to investigate everything about this Earth. I want to know the truth. The escalation had backfired. Instead of crushing the humans, the Empire had learned a disturbing lesson. The humans were far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. Private Danny Webb sat in a cold metal chair. The Empire had captured him when his escape pod malfunctioned during the human fleet's withdrawal. Now he faced 3 Empire interrogators in a gray room. Tell us about Earth's defenses, the lead interrogator demanded. His name was Commander Zektar, and he specialized in extracting information from prisoners. Danny looked confused. Which ones? The orbital platforms, the moon bases, the asteroid fortresses. Zektar leaned forward. Stop playing games. Tell us about your entire fleet, all 50 ships. Danny laughed. He actually laughed. 50 ships. That's just our scout unit. 3rd Fleet's smallest division. The interrogators exchanged glances. You expect us to believe that? Another one asked. Believe what you want, Danny shrugged. I'm just a private. I work in supply management. But even I know we got way more than 50 ships. Zektar activated a pain device. Danny winced, but didn't scream. The truth now. I am telling the truth, Danny insisted. Why would I lie about something so basic? Everyone knows Earth has 10 main fleets. It's not a secret. The 3rd interrogator pulled up a holographic display. You claim there are more fleets. Name them. Danny counted on his fingers like a child. Let's see. 1st Fleet guards Earth. 2nd Fleet patrols the inner colonies. 3rd Fleet explores new territory. That's us. 4th Fleet protects the mining operations. 5th Fleet. He continued listing fleets and their duties. The interrogators recorded everything, certain they were hearing desperate lies. How many ships in each fleet? Zektar demanded. Danny scratched his head. I don't know exactly. I'm just a private, remember. But 1st Fleet alone has got to be thousands of ships. They guard humanity's home world. Thousands. Zektar's voice dripped with disbelief. Well, yeah, Danny said simply. Earth has like 12 billion people, plus all the orbital habitats and moon colonies. You need a lot of ships to protect all that. The interrogators left Danny in his cell and met in a secure room. He's obviously lying, one said. But he seems so casual about it, another observed. Most prisoners make up elaborate stories. He acts like this is common knowledge. Zektar was troubled. He had interrogated many species. Danny didn't show the usual signs of deception. He seemed genuinely puzzled by their questions. Let's verify what we can, Zektar decided. Check their communication logs from the battle. The intelligence team spent hours analyzing captured data fragments. They found something disturbing. The human ships had used call signs like 3rd Fleet, Scout Division 2, and Liberty Squadron, Detachment 5. These designations suggest larger organizations, a technician reported. The numbering system implies multiple levels of command structure. Zektar ordered deeper analysis. They decrypted partial messages that mentioned Fleet Command, Sector Headquarters, and System Defense Force. Sir, an analyst said nervously, we found references to ship construction facilities. They mentioned building schedules for hundreds of vessels per year. The interrogation team returned to Danny's cell. This time, they'd brought food and water. Their approach was friendlier. Private Web, Zektar began carefully. Help us understand. Your fleet of 50 ships fought very well. If you really have more fleets, why use such a small force? Danny looked at them like they were stupid. Because we weren't trying to start a war. We're explorers. You attacked us. We defended ourselves. That's all. But surely your leaders knew they might encounter hostile forces. Of course, Danny nodded. That's why even scout units have decent weapons. But we're not invaders. We don't send massive fleets just to explore new systems. Zektar felt a cold sensation in his stomach. Private Web, if your scout unit has 50 ships, how large is your actual navy? Danny thought for a moment. The whole navy. Active ships, including reserves and system defense forces. Maybe 30,000 ships. Could be more. They don't tell privates everything. The interrogators stood in shocked silence. Danny noticed their expressions. What's wrong? He asked innocently. Is that a lot compared to your empire? Zektar left the room quickly. He needed to report this to High Marshal Vextor immediately. If the human was telling the truth, the Empire had made a terrible mistake. They had attacked a sleeping giant, and now that giant might be waking up. Commander Zektar's hands shook as he presented his findings to High Marshal Vextor. The throne room was silent except for the hum of computers. Every officer watched their leader's reaction. This cannot be true, Vextor said slowly. His 6 arms gripped his throne tightly. The human is lying. Sir, we verified parts of his story, Zektar replied. Their ships use organizational codes that match his claims. We've decoded references to multiple fleets. Vextor stood up. His full height made him tower over everyone. Show me the evidence. The main screen filled with intercepted human communications. Zektar pointed to specific lines. Here, they mention 1st Fleet Command. Here, 4th Fleet Logistics. And this one references 9th Fleet Training Exercises. Could be fake designations, an officer suggested hopefully. Made up to confuse us. We considered that, Zektar said. But we've also analyzed their technology. Their ships use modular designs, the same basic framework, but with different configurations. This suggests mass production. How many production facilities? Vextor demanded. Unknown, sir, but the prisoner mentioned shipyards on Earth, Mars, Europa, and dozens of other locations. The room grew colder. If each facility could build ships, and humans had colonized multiple systems. There's more, Zektar continued reluctantly. We've detected hyperspace signatures near Earth, many of them. Too many for just 50 ships coming and going. On Mars, Colonel Sam Turner watched his screens in the underground command center. The red planet's defense grid was fully activated. Massive rail guns pointed toward space. Shield generators hummed with power. Sir, Earth Command is asking for status updates, a technician reported. Tell them Mars is ready, Turner replied. If the Empire wants a fight, they'll get one. The solar defense grid was humanity's first line of protection. Thousands of weapons platforms orbited every inhabited world. Automated fighters patrolled the space between planets. It was a system built through centuries of preparation. Back at the Empire Intelligence Center, analysts worked frantically. They had broken into peripheral human databases, the ones not heavily encrypted. What they found terrified them. Sir, a young analyst called to Zektar. I found something. It's a human news archive. Public information. What does it say? There's a report from 3 years ago. It mentions the launch of humanity's newest carrier. The ship can hold 500 fighters. One carrier with 500 fighters. Zektar felt sick. No, sir. This was the 40th carrier of its class. The implications hit like a hammer. 40 carriers, each with 500 fighters. That was 20,000 fighters from just one class of ship. And this was public information from 3 years ago. We need to go deeper, Zektar ordered. Find anything about their colonies. Hours later, the picture grew worse. References to mining operations in 200 systems. Colony worlds with billions of inhabitants. Industrial complexes that sprawled across entire moons. Commander, an analyst whispered, I found an education video. It's for human children. It lists their major military academies. How many? Over 100. Each graduates thousands of officers per year. Zektar ran calculations in his head. 100 academies, thousands of officers each, year after year. The numbers were staggering. Sir, incoming message from High Marshal Vextor. He wants you in the throne room immediately. Zektar gathered his data pads and hurried to meet his leader. He found Vextor staring at a star map, marking human systems based on their findings. Tell me we've made an error, Vextor said without turning around. Sir, if anything, our estimates might be conservative. The humans hide their true strength well, but the signs are everywhere. They're not a small species defending one world. They're a major galactic power. How did we not know this? Vextor's voice was barely a whisper. They stayed in their region of space. They didn't conquer others. They just built and prepared. Vextor finally turned. His red eyes showed something new. Fear. If we've attacked a power this large and they decide to retaliate. Sir, should we contact the human commander? Try to negotiate. Yes, Vextor decided. Before their real fleet arrives. Before it's too late. But deep in hyperspace, something massive was already moving. Earth had received word of the Empire's attack. The response was coming. First Fleet had mobilized. The Empire's growing horror was about to become reality. Space itself seemed to tear open. The hyperspace exits appeared like wounds in reality, glowing blue and white. From these portals came ships, not dozens, not hundreds, thousands upon thousands. High Marshal Vextor stood frozen on his bridge. His tactical display could not process all the contacts. The screen filled with red markers, each representing a human warship. How many? He asked in a dead voice. Still counting, sir, the sensor officer replied. Over 5,000. No, 7,000. Sir, they're still arriving. Admiral Jennifer Clark stood on the bridge of the UES Titan, humanity's newest supercarrier. The ship was 3 kilometers long and carried 2,000 fighters. Around her, First Fleet spread out in perfect formation. Status report, she commanded. All wings accounted for, Admiral, her second-in-command replied. 10,000 combat vessels ready for action. Second and third battle groups standing by in hyperspace. Jennifer nodded. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had served in the Earth Navy for 40 years, rising through the ranks by being smart and careful. Open channel to the Empire command ship, she ordered. Vextor appeared on her screen. He looked different now. The arrogance was gone, replaced by something else. Was it fear? I am Admiral Clark, commanding Earth's First Fleet. You have attacked our explorers. You have threatened our species. Explain yourself. Vextor's 6 arms moved nervously. Admiral, there has been a misunderstanding. We thought your scout fleet was your entire force. We did not realize that we were telling the truth. Jennifer finished. My captains reported your refusal to listen. Your choice to attack instead of talk. We seek peace now, Vextor said quickly. The Empire wishes to negotiate. Jennifer studied him for a long moment. Behind her, Captain Bob Miller of the UES Thunder quietly gave orders. The super battleship was twice the size of anything the Empire had. Its main gun could crack a small moon. You seek peace now that you see our strength, Jennifer observed. What about other species you've conquered? Did they get the chance to negotiate? The Empire has acted according to galactic law. Your law, Jennifer interrupted. Not ours. She turned to her tactical officer. Show them Configuration 12. First Fleet began to move. 10,000 ships flowed like water, forming a sphere around the Empire fleet. Every weapon powered up but didn't fire. It was a demonstration, not an attack. As you can see, Jennifer continued, we could destroy you. Your 500 ships face our 10,000. And this is just First Fleet. We have 9 more like it. Vextor's skin turned pale gray. The math was simple and terrible. If each human fleet had 10,000 ships, the total was 100,000 warships, he whispered. Give or take, Jennifer said casually, plus system defense forces, reserve units, and training squadrons. We take protection seriously. But why? Vextor asked. Why build such force if you don't seek conquest? Jennifer's expression hardened. Because the galaxy is full of empires like yours, bullies who attack anyone they see as weak. We learned long ago that the best defense is being too strong to attack. She gestured. The display zoomed in on the Thunder. The massive ship dwarfed nearby Empire vessels. This is Captain Miller's ship. Bob, show them the planet Cracker. A panel opened on the Thunder's hull. A weapon emerged, its barrel glowing with contained energy. It was pointed safely away from any ship. We don't use these, Jennifer explained. They're too destructive, but we have them. Every super capital ship carries one. That's about 800 planet-killing weapons in our complete fleet. Vextor slumped in his throne. The Empire had attacked a power that could erase them from existence, not just defeat them. Completely destroy their entire civilization. What are your terms? He asked quietly. Simple, Jennifer replied. Leave human space. Never attack us again. Return our captured private. And perhaps in time, we can try being friends instead of enemies. And if we refuse, Jennifer didn't smile. Then you'll learn why humanity survived every threat we faced. Why we're still here when other species said we couldn't make it. We prefer peace, Marshal, but we excel at war. The real fleet had arrived. The galaxy would never be the same. The conference room on the UES Titan was simple but functional. Admiral Jennifer Clark sat at one end of the table. High Marshal Vextor sat at the other. Between them were officers from both sides. Let's discuss terms, Jennifer began. But first, there's something you need to understand about humanity. Dr. Alice Green stepped forward. She was Earth's head of defense technology, a small woman with kind eyes and a brilliant mind. She activated a holographic display. Marshal, you wondered why we built such a large fleet, Alice said. The answer is simple. We've been preparing for contact with hostile species for 300 years. The display showed Earth's history. We found ruins on Mars, ancient battle sites, evidence that previous civilizations were destroyed by aggressive empires. We decided that wouldn't happen to us. Vextor leaned forward. You built all this from fear. From caution, Alice corrected. We developed our technology slowly, carefully. Every human child learns about the Great Preparation. We hoped we'd never need to use our full strength. General Frank Davis, head of Earth Ground Forces, spoke next. We have a saying, if you want peace, prepare for war. We took it seriously. The display changed, showing weapon systems. Alice continued. Our planet Crackers, we developed them 50 years ago. Never used them. Our quantum torpedoes can destabilize stars. Also never used. We have weapons that could end civilizations, all gathering dust. Why create such terrible weapons if you don't plan to use them? Vextor asked. Jennifer answered. Because someone else might have them. Better to have and not need, than need and not have. But we set strict rules. These weapons are last resort only. For defense of our species, Captain Bob Miller added, every human soldier takes an oath. Protect humanity, protect our allies, protect innocent life. In that order. Conquest isn't part of the oath. Vextor's officers whispered among themselves. This was not what they expected from a military superpower. You truly don't want to conquer, Vextor asked. Why would we? Jennifer replied. We have hundreds of systems, plenty of resources, room to grow. Conquering others just makes enemies. We'd rather make friends. She stood and walked to the window, looking out at the assembled fleet. But when someone attacks us, we respond. Not with cruelty, but with overwhelming force. To make sure they never try again. General Davis showed another display. We could have destroyed your fleet immediately. But we didn't. We disabled ships when possible, gave your crews chances to surrender. Even now, we offer terms instead of demanding submission. Your battle tactics, Vextor said slowly, so different from ours. Why? Alice smiled. We study everything. Every battle in human history, every strategy from every species we've met peacefully. We adapt, learn, improve. Your empire uses the same tactics you've used for centuries. We create new ones constantly. The discussion continued. The humans explained their defense networks, their training systems, their philosophy of war. With each revelation, the Empire officers looked more amazed. You have the power to rule the galaxy, Vextor finally said, but you choose not to. Power isn't about ruling others, Jennifer replied. It's about protecting what matters. We'll defend ourselves and our allies. We'll explore, trade, learn. But we won't become what we prepared to fight against. She returned to her seat. Now, about those terms. We want our private returned. We want a non-aggression treaty. And we want to establish communication channels to prevent future misunderstandings. That's all. Vextor couldn't hide his surprise. No tribute, no submission, no territory. We told you from the beginning, Jennifer said. We're explorers, not conquerors. Your empire can keep its territories. Just leave ours alone. Vextor looked at his officers, then back at the humans. You are not what we expected. Most species say that, Jennifer acknowledged, usually right after they stop trying to fight us. The tables had completely turned. The mighty empire sat as students, learning from the humans they had tried to destroy. And humanity, with power to crush them, offered friendship instead. The galaxy was learning that humans were dangerous not because they were cruel, but because they were prepared. And sometimes, mercy from a position of absolute strength is the most powerful message of all. The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from 50 major civilizations had gathered for an emergency session. The news of the Empire's defeat had spread like wildfire through communication networks. High Marshal Vextor stood before the assembly. His 6 arms hung at his sides, no longer held in the pose of dominance. Fellow beings of the galaxy, he began, I come to report on our encounter with humanity. The chamber fell silent. Everyone knew the Empire never admitted defeat. Yet here was their highest military leader, speaking with humility. 3 weeks ago, we encountered what we believed was humanity's entire fleet, 50 ships. We attacked them. He paused. We were wrong. Those 50 ships were merely a scout division. When we returned with 500 warships, we discovered the truth. A hologram appeared, showing the human First Fleet. Gasps echoed through the chamber. 10,000 ships, arranged in perfect formation. This is just one of their 10 main fleets, Vextor continued. They possess approximately 100,000 warships, each more advanced than anything we've seen. The Saurian ambassador stood. Surely you exaggerate. No species could build such a force without detection. Ambassador John Williams, Earth's representative to the Galactic Council, rose to speak. He was an older man with silver hair and a calm smile. We didn't hide. We simply stayed in our region of space and minded our own business. But why build such massive military power? Asked the Centauri delegate. John's expression became serious. Because history taught us that peaceful species without protection don't survive. We chose to be prepared rather than extinct. He activated his own display. It showed human colonies, trade routes, and defensive positions. We've colonized 200 systems, built infrastructure, developed technology, all while avoiding aggressive expansion. And now, the Altarian representative sounded worried. Will humanity seek revenge on the Empire? No, John replied simply. We've signed a non-aggression treaty. The incident is closed. We prefer to look forward, not backward. Private Katie Brown entered the chamber, escorted by Empire guards. She had been chosen to give testimony about her capture and treatment. The young supply clerk looked nervous but determined. The Empire treated me correctly after my capture, she reported. They returned me safely. I have no complaints. Her simple words carried weight. Humanity, despite its power, wasn't seeking vengeance or playing victim. A ripple of whispers went through the chamber. The vegan ambassador asked what everyone was thinking. If humanity has such power, what prevents you from conquering the galaxy? John smiled. The same thing that made us build our defenses. Wisdom. We know that ruling through fear creates endless conflict. We'd rather have friends than subjects. He looked around the chamber. Earth offers trade agreements to any willing civilization. Cultural exchanges, scientific cooperation, but not military alliances yet. We need to know you better first. The session continued for hours. One by one, civilizations asked about humanity's intentions. Each time, the answer was the same. Peace, trade, exploration, friendship, but with the clear understanding that humanity would defend itself if necessary. As the session concluded, Vextor approached John Williams. Ambassador, may I ask something privately? Of course. Your military power, is it really just for defense? John looked thoughtful. Marshal, we have a saying on Earth. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. Today, the galaxy learned about our strength, but no one died learning that lesson. That's victory for everyone. The news spread across the galaxy. Humanity, the species with power to dominate, chose cooperation instead. Some civilizations immediately sought trade relations. Others remained cautious but respectful. In a small cafe on Earth, Katie Brown sat with friends, telling her story. The funny thing is, she said, sipping her coffee, they thought our scout fleet was everything we had. Can you imagine? Her friend laughed. Well, now they know better. Though I heard some folks asking if our merchant fleet is bigger than our navy. Katie grinned. It is. About 3 times bigger. But let's keep that our little secret for now. The galaxy had changed. Humanity had arrived not as conquerors, but as neighbors. Powerful neighbors who preferred handshakes to weapons. And that perhaps was the most revolutionary idea of all.